Hi, my name is Susie.
My name is PiiDii.
I'm here with PiiDii today. PiiDii is an author, a marriage counselor, and the foremost voice on relationships and marriages. We're here to answer your burning questions, or the questions that you have not had answers to. We're here to make sure that you're equipped before you make your decision, whether it's your relationship or to get married. Now, before I start, I just want to say that PiiDii,
Yes.
welcome. This is Pondering with PiiDii. It's our first podcast. So we'd like you to like, subscribe, and make your comments below. If you have any questions that you need answering, you can put them below and we'll definitely respond to you. So don't forget, like, subscribe, and comment for us. And don't forget to press the notification button. So PiiDii, the first question that we start with, what does real compatibility mean in terms of emotions and also affection? How does compatibility factor in relationships?
The thing is, I actually don't think that compatibility is a thing. Neither do I think it's important, because people getting along together is based more on their knowledge and practice of what love really is. What makes marriages and relationships work is their knowledge of love. And when things don't work is the ignorance of what love really means. So if you are mature in your knowledge of love, which means you really know that love is intentional, is unconditional, it is selfless, and it is sacrificial. You know that love is not an emotion, it's a verb. And if you know this and you practice it, you will get along together. But if you don't know this and you don't know that love must forgive, so you're not forgiving, you're taking offense, you're doing silent treatment, and you're just not doing love, and you're hoping marriage will work, it will not work. So it's not about compatibility really. Compatibility kind of is trying to make you be who you are without changing, without improving, with all your flaws and trauma responses. And you're looking for somebody who somehow will kind of match you and be able to cope with you. At some point in time, it's going to break down and it's going to be off. So the key here is that marriage and relationships are more knowledge driven than they are love driven. Two people can actually love themselves, really love themselves, and in their ignorance hurt themselves.
Yes.
And everybody has a threshold to how much pain they can withhold or withstand. So when that pain gets to a point, somebody wants out. Somebody just wants out. And that is how marriages break up. That's how relationships break up. So it's not really about compatibility. It's more about improving your knowledge and your practice of this thing called love. Love, that's a verb. And as you do that, things work.
Can you tell us, how do we actually get that knowledge? How do we improve the practice?
That's where people like me come in. Like people need to be coached. Relationships and marriage is an occupation. An occupation is something that occupies most of your time. And for all occupations, like medical occupation, legal practice, engineering practice, people go to school, they get knowledge. They can't open their practice in the first year. They have to do like 3 to 4 years, during which they get the knowledge, and then they're able to open a practice that's successful. So marriage is just like that. So for you to open your practice of marriage and be successful, you've got to do the learning. You've got to buy the books, attend the seminars, listen to the video recordings, do the counselings. You just do everything that you can to make sure you have enough knowledge to make this practice of marriage work. And to be quite frank, people put more effort, the engagement, people are doing a lot of things, they're nailing down, they're doing just to
what it looks like.
Exactly. And then a lot of effort, money goes into the ceremony. The ceremony is one day. The wedding, like the wedding is different from the marriage. But many people think the wedding is the marriage, but it's not. So that wedding is one day. You spend all the money, invite your friends, and everything. It's one day. But you didn't put enough effort into the marriage, which means I need to know all these things to make sure that my practice of marriage is successful. So they go in ignorant and they get the result that ignorance gets, and that's failure.
You saying that actually makes me think that when people spend so much time doing the wedding, practicing the wedding, I feel like after the wedding there'll be a void because they haven't had the time to cultivate the marriage, and the wedding that they focused on is now over and gone. So there's a void. What would you say about how people can get over that? What people should do to get themselves on track?
This thing that you said is so real. It's so real because what happens is it doesn't take a long time for people to realize that, what, we're not equipped. Too many times I get a call from a person who says, I got married last week or 2 weeks and I think I married the wrong person. It doesn't take long. It doesn't take long. At that point, they want out or they just doubt thoughtful. And really the whole point there is if they would be teachable. One of the most important things people can ever be regarding marriage is being teachable. If they're teachable and they get the right person or right information and they're able to learn it and practice it and be transformed by it, things will work.
Yeah. My next question is, what are the non-negotiables that people should look for before getting married? And you've just said teachable. So can you speak about teachable a bit more so that people understand really how important it is to be teachable? And if you're not, what can happen?
And that's a really good question, because in my counseling, many times I tell people, give me a list, the profile of the person that you would like to marry. Like, these are the things you want. And they give me their list. Most times, the most important things are not there. Things that will either make or break that marriage. Something like teachable. How do I get a person, male or female, tell me that I want my future spouse to be teachable? But the thing there is this: if they're not teachable, what happens is whatever it is that they believe or have in their mindset that they will do that causes you pain or hurt, which is, it's quite easy. It's not difficult for a person to have a mindset that will cause you pain or stress or hurt. And when you tell them that, this thing you're doing, this is what it's doing to me. It's causing me pain. It's causing me hurt. And I need you to change your mind about this. So you change the actions that you're doing. And they can't be taught. So no matter what you say, no matter how hard you cry, they just do whatever that thing is. And it continues to cause you pain. I mean, do you know what it's like to spend the rest of your life till death do you part with a person who insists on causing you pain over and over and over again? It's horrible. So it's really important that in your list, people have got to be teachable. And there is a connection. If they're prideful, they're not teachable. If they're opinionated, they're not teachable. So watch this while you're dating. Are they prideful? Are they opinionated? When you look for times when you need to tell them to change, are they able to change? How quickly were they able to receive what you had to say? How quickly were they able to implement what you had to say? How did they receive it? Were they defensive? Did they counterattack? All of these things are things that you watch while you're dating to know whether you qualify them or disqualify them. And talking about qualification, it's not everybody you meet that qualifies. And to be quite frank, the fastest way to meet the qualified person is by disqualifying all those that are disqualified. If you could follow what I just said.
Explain
Which means that if number 5 person is the person that will qualify, I need to disqualify numbers 1 to 4 quickly. So what people do is, number 2, you spend time trying to make it work. Number 3, they make it work. But all that trying to make it work
wasting
your time and stopping yourself from getting to the guy that's going to make it work.
So that then leads me on to values.
Values are good.
How deeply does our values need to align before we can get married? So how do we know if our values actually align? So talk about what values are, and then speak a little bit on how they need to align before we can get married, or do they need to align before we can get married?
Values need to be aligned, which means they need to be similar. And many people mix this up where people say, well, opposites attract. When it comes to character, opposites could attract. But values, opposites do not attract. Like, if I am God-fearing, I'm going to be celibate, till I get married, and the other person is not God-fearing, values are different. They don't want to be celibate, they want sex now. Our values aren't in alignment. And if that goes to where I don't lie, I'm truthful, you don't mind, telling a few fibs and some, there's no black or white, everything. Our values are different. So which means that if we get married, you can tell me lies. Then trust is thrown out the window, and I'm unstable, because at this point, I don't know what we're doing, because our values were not aligned. So it's so important that values are aligned, but characters can be different, where I could be talkative, you can be quiet. If we're both talkative, it's a problem, because we'll talk ourselves together. So like, you're quiet, but then, or just where we can balance ourselves out character-wise. But values have got to be aligned.
You saying that, I've seen situations where people have, said to me, he's not good looking enough, or he's not tall enough, or he doesn't have enough money. All of these things can change within a marriage, but somebody's values stays with them.
That's right. And this is about not tall enough. Why? I heard that from Ryan a lot. Where what does height have to do with capacity to love? What does height have to do with, but for love, women in particular, height is a big thing. He's not tall enough. And I'm thinking, my gosh, when you're lying down, you're the same height. That's not good.
Great for the short kings. No, honestly, all jokes aside, I've seen some very good husbands that are short, so it doesn't make any difference.
You're going to disqualify somebody for 1 inch, 2 inches? Don't do that.
Okay, let's just speak just about compatibility. You don't have to be compatible in terms of spiritual compatibility, though. Can you speak into that?
Yes, I can. Because I see that sometimes where especially on that game on social media, the pop the balloon thing. like the lady says, it's better for me that the person knows God or whatever. Then this guy, good-looking guy, I don't even claim any religion, but I'm just spiritual, everything. And she said, yeah, that's good enough. Come. And they make a match, and I know that match is going nowhere. Basically, and that judgment was very poor.
Yeah, and that adds to what you said about wasting time. You don't match, so why are you wasting your time?
Exactly. Yeah. And then the other thing too is if I'm passionate about my God, and you don't know my God, and in fact you don't care for my God, how do I care about you? If truly I love my God, I'm passionate about my God. Whatever your God is, I'm passionate about Him, and you don't know Him and you don't care. Yeah. And I want to be with you for the rest of my life. Yeah, the source is different. That's very poor judgment. Yeah. Very poor judgment. Don't do that.
I agree. No, you just end up wasting your time. And then finally, okay, so people say opposites attract. Do opposites attract in terms of if I'm quiet and then you're very loud, or if I like to spend money, blow money, and you don't? How does that work?
Most times that people are a certain kind of way, they appreciate the other end where I'm quiet, but I really wish I could talk like that. I really wish I was outgoing like that. And then I meet this guy, and the truth is, if I'm so quiet and you're so quiet, where would we meet? What would we say? How would we get along? How would we click, like they say? But when a guy comes and you're kind of quietish, but he's talking, he's drawing you out of yourself, and you're making something of that relationship. That's because you're opposite. Yeah. If you are the same, it would be or two people that are aggressive kind of. By the time I do my aggression and you do your aggression, we're going to clash, and that clash is going to be rough. Yeah. We may never come back from that clash. So yeah, opposites attract.
Okay. Now we've just spoken about how to choose well. And what I've got from our conversation so far is do your homework. We need to do our homework, because if you do your homework, if you know what your values are, and if you can do all the work before to make sure that you're making the right choice, not because he's tall or short or dark or whatever, fat or skin, but you choose the right values that are long lasting within a marriage, then we will have more success.
Yeah, and the thing here too is that everybody has got to know that you're not perfect. Nobody is perfect. And so the idea that you think I don't have anything to work on is a terrible idea. Where every single person, you've got to understand that be self-aware. Know that, what, I need more patience. I need to be able to let things go, or I need to be nicer. I need to, whatever it is, but everybody has some work to do. So, but what I see is a lot of people go out there spending more time trying to see how people, they're trying to evaluate other people. Yeah. But not working on themselves. Everybody, like to be quite frank, it's very important that when you meet a person, at some point you ask them, what do you need to improve about yourself? Yeah. What do you need? And if they're struggling to find what they need to improve about themselves, that's a red flag in itself. Yeah. When
I was younger, I actually used to ask people that. I would ask not just people you're dating, but just friends to give me feedback, honest feedback on my character, because I feel like those who are closer to you can tell you the truth. And if you don't really see yourself sometimes, so it's important to get people who are around you to give you feedback. Don't argue. You've asked them for what they think of you, so take that and then use it well, because obviously you're going to be asking people who love you and they mean you well.
Yeah, and I think that's really awesome. That's really something that everybody should do. People go around no feedback, or that like there are people tiptoeing around you on eggshells. They're afraid to give you feedback. And that's terrible. You've really got to encourage people, give me feedback, and I'm not going to take offense. I'm not going to be defensive. I just need to hear it so I can go think about it and work on it. And I wish more people would do that. People lack self-awareness. So to the point where they are making another person miserable, and they don't even know it.
Yeah, if you're somebody you love, people who you love and trust give you feedback and you take offense, then it's more detrimental to you than it is to them. And I don't think there's any wisdom in that.
You're so wise, Susan. If you've never met Susan before, she's so wise. This is a wise lady.
Well, thank you. With that said, we've spoken about what you have to do, the homework you need to do to choose right. So in our next conversation, we'll be talking about the realities and the dynamics of when you are in a relationship. So stay tuned.